Okay, I think I'm live. There was an extended pause there, but it seems to be transmitting properly. I'm checking the sound levels. I have a new sound level icon so I can actually. I'm transmitting. Hopefully, you guys can hear it okay. I'll know a lot better when someone shows up. And of course, we all know what day this is, everybody. Yes, yes. A special happy birthday to Hollywood icon Robert Redford. Happy birthday, Robert. And there are some other people of importance whose birthday it is today, too, but more about that later. I am a little early today, by the way. It's funny, too, because I was actually running late. Um, Mrs. Thrash and I were taking care. Well, she took me to dinner, lunch, brunch, dunch. It actually wasn't breakfast and lunch. It was more lunch, dinner. Anyway, we went out to eat. Then just sort of were out and about. But I'm actually early, which is funny because I was actually running late. And now that someone's in the chat, I can actually stop rambling. And oh, it's Tracy. Tracy says hi, Robert. And Christopher Wilkinson's here. He says, "Good evening, Bob. How do you guys too? By the way, great to see you." Tracy, I hope you're feeling better, and I hope you've weathered the storm. We're not going to get anything even close to Ernesto. They say the Cape might get a few high tides, but that's about it. Sean is here, and he says, "Hello, all three slash four of us." Yes, the three, four of us is going along nicely. Oh, and Tug says, "Happy birthday, Bob." Yes, you let the cat out of the bag. There was another Robert born on this day, and that would be me. Yes, I turned the big round number of 5'7". Oh, music, movies, and more with Brian is here. He says, "Good evening, Bob." Brian, so great to see you. Welcome aboard. I love what you're doing on the channel. Haven't had a chance to see much of your new stuff, but hey, keep swinging, bro. Keep swinging, bro. I'll try to binge watch some tomorrow. Big Guys 45 is here. He says, "Hello, Evie." I'm assuming that's Ev or everyone. Yeah, I was gonna say. And Tracy says, "Thank you, Robert." Wajamin is here and says, "Hello, everyone." Hey, hey, to you too, Waj. Big S has been listening to some Yellow Magic Orchestra, Beck, and Talking Heads lately. Love Talking Heads. I've always have loved Talking Heads. Yellow Magic Orchestra, is that the one that was conducted by Yurikio Sakamoto? There's a bell ringing in my head. Please let me know if that's the same band. Keith is here. Says, "Happy birthday. Is this the new 50? Yes, 57 is the new 50. Oh, and thank you, Keith. I saw, I didn't get a chance to comment back to you. I saw the Facebook birthday message you sent to me, and thank you very, 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 very much, young man. Mr. Lettuce here says, "Hey, Thrash, is that your day? If so, happy day." Yes, it is, but that was a little subterfuge. It's also Robert Redford's birthday, so I was happy birthday, Robert Redford. But yes, and everyone's saying happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me. And Tracy says, "Happy birthday, welcome to the club." Thank you. And Sean says, "We're getting horrible flooding in Connecticut today. The rain's been holding off up here, bro. I'm sorry you get nasty rain. We might get some of it tomorrow, but very sorry to hear that." Christopher says, "Happy birthday, Bob." As does Watchamin. Brogu's here. He says, "Hello, everyone. Hello to you too, Brogu." And Sean says, "I'm grateful not to have to deal with that." Oh, that's right. You're not in Connecticut at the moment. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. And hey, Justin's here. Justin says, "Beck choking on a splinter." Ooh, that sounds horrible. Horrible. Is that what happened to Beck? Did he choke on a splinter? Harold the Hatter is here. Says, "Hey, everyone." Hey, Harold, again. Sorry I missed the show today, by the way. But Mrs. Thrash had decided that we were going to celebrate my birthday. And who am I to deny? Beaky on the Air is here. That's all, folks. Beaky on the Air is here and says, "Big Guys, super birthday. All the best, my retro pal." And hey, back to you. Great to see you as always. Brian says, "You are just a few months older than I am. I turned 57 in October." That close. That close. Daryl Johnson's here. Bob. Other brother Daryl, how you doing? A lot of people saying hello to BK and to one another. Zublix is here and says, Zublix says, today is your birthday. Yes, Zub, the big 5-7. Thank you. And Harold says, sorry, internet crapped out and on phone. Can't directly say hi to everyone. I see you, though, and I love you. Oh, gotcha, by the way. Well, we know you're here with us in spirit. And Harold said, happy family and birthdays come first. Thank you. Appreciate the understanding. Danny says greetings from South Carolina. Danny, so good to see you too. I got your birthday message too. Thank you very, very much. And if you give what do you call it? Links, thank you. Lancelot links. Give links, please, to Wajimeen, Harold the Hatter, music, movies, and more with Brian, BK on the air, and Tracy, and for yourself. I'd really, really, really appreciate it. I think I covered everyone. If not, please shout out if you have a channel you like covered. And James Dye is here. James Dye says, hi, everyone. Been a while. Yeah, I know. Every now and then I get some of your messages on Facebook, but I haven't seen you here in quite some time. James Dye, I'm so glad you decided to join us. Welcome back, my prodigal son, for a special Robert birthday show. Great to see you. Hope you can stick around. Gary Carpenter is here and says, hi there, everyone. I'm back. And happy birthday wishes to you, Thrasher. And to you, hello to and thank you very much, Gary Carpenter. John Dozier says the whole FN show is here. Pretty much people we haven't seen in some time is here, John, and that's great. It's always nice to see people we haven't seen in a while back. Brogan says happy birthday, Thrash. Oh, thank you. Denny says I'm 58. Yeah, Denny, you and I are only about a year and a half apart. Actually even less than that, but we're actually really, really close in ages. And everyone's saying happy birthday. Thank you so much. And Brian says, can we please get some more likes for him? Let's see, how many do I got? Ooh, 6 likes and 17 of you. Yeah, Brian's right. Can we do a little better, please? A little better. And I just jumped, so I'm gonna have to skip down because again, as John said, everyone is here. And a lot of people saying hello to one another. Doug says, it took Heinz 57 tries, so this could be your year. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to call this the year of the Heinz. And Indy Spouts is here and says, and my time is a piece of wax falling on a termite that's choking on the splinters, is a line from Loser by Beck. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm familiar with Beck. I wasn't a huge Beck fan, so thank you for pointing that out. And very good catch, Indy. Very, very good catch. Danny's giving us links, and that's awesome. Dominic D is here and says, hey, Bob. Hey, everyone. Hello to you, too. A lot of people saying hi to James. Dennis gives more links. James says thanks. No, thank you, James. I've been hoping you would come back. By the way, like I say, see you on Facebook. Don't want to be pushy. Don't be pushy, but I'm very, very glad you decided to join us. Rachel in the 208 is here. I'm here, Rachel. So glad you could make it tonight, Miss. And did I not say? I must have said Tug. Yeah, did you make sure Tug gets a link? Not, I'm sure everybody already has his channel, but just in case. Wajibin says, I'll be right back. He's got to get food. We actually, we do what we always do. We filled up on appetizers, had our meals boxed up, and then got dessert. They had blueberry cheesecake tonight, by the way. I actually got the blueberry cheesecake. Let's just see what we got going on here. Oh, yeah, there we are. So Danny's giving some more links. Everybody's saying hello to one another. Rachel says, my birthday was August 6th. I'm now 51. Got a few years on you. Danny will be 59 in November. So, yeah, actually, that's actually almost 2 years. Almost 2 years. And James just turned 58 last month. Really, James? You look much younger in your photos. Christopher says, I will be 62 in September. I have trouble believing that. If you've ever seen Christopher Wilkinson, well, first of all, his father is a little advanced age, but holds it really, 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 really well. But Christopher, you would swear Christopher is maybe 40-ish. I swear. And John says, I recently rewatched Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and I got a little emotional in the middle because that was the last movie I was able to see with her in the theaters. I think there's another message in there who the who her is. Um but I certainly understand, getting to see having last experiences with anyone is very, very important. So, and I'm sorry I missed who the she is in reference to. Gary Carter 58 next year. And he says, congrats on another successful lap around the sun, Bob. I don't know how many more I got left in me, but thank you. Zublix is saying hello to all. Keith E is like number 7. We're actually up to 13 now. So we're doing much, much, much better. And Tug says he's sad for John. A lot of people saying hello to one another. I'm going to have to skim down through those. Again, if I miss anyone's message while I'm skimming, please forgive. There's a lot of people here tonight. And Gary says, R.I.P. Gina Rollins, Peter Marshall, and Elaine Delon. Yes, I just found out about Elaine Delon today. He was in Girl on a Motorcycle and something else. I'm like, oh yeah, he was in that. Yeah, very, very, very sad. And John says, looks like we're having a huge storm hitting us, Thresh. It's probably the remains of Ernesto, but according to Weather Channel, it's just gonna kind of graze us, but keep your fingers crossed, please. Brian says R.I.P. John Spread. And let's just see. Oh, but I jumped again. Oh, here we go. Oh no, yeah, that's it. Doug says I want cheesecake. Naughty, naughty. And Tracy says, my last day of probation at my new job is tomorrow. Then I'm a regular employee. Good luck, congratulations, and all that sort of rot. Oh, John Doe says my mother was her. Condolences, lad. Condolences. I had a hunch that's who we were talking about. I had a hunch, but I never want to assume. Sometimes people are referring to something else, and like I say, I never want to. It can be embarrassing when you try to piece somebody's story together. It's best to just let them tell you specifically what the gaps are. And Keithy says, hi to everybody. I can't possibly keep up. You can't possibly keep up. And Teb is here. And Teb says, happy birthday, Thrash. Have you heard that John Apre, who played the young Salvador in The Godfather Part 2, has passed away, Salvatore, rather, at 83. I just saw that. On AOL before I was coming on. Gary Carpenter says, T, we're tongue-tied tonight. Yeah, I'm a little off my elocution. I will try to tighten her up. And WD says, famous Amos Cookie man also passed away. Oh, bummer. Didn't he do an episode of Taxi once? And Gary Carpenter says, I don't know if anyone here knows Action Kid from New York. He's in Toronto, laid up in a hospital with a broken foot. Oh no, I did not know that. And James Dice says, cheesecake. And Tracy says, hi to all I've missed. Hi to all I've missed too, by the way. Oh, I'm going to give some shout outs to Emily, to Cindy D, to Lisa Fields, to Karen Lee Maloney, to all the Davids who aren't here so far tonight, to Mike Silva, to pretty much anyone who normally is here, by the way. I couldn't list all of them, but for those of you who aren't here yet or don't make it tonight, shout out my friends. Oh, Angela McCurdle, who's actually here. Hi, everyone. Glad I'm not late. I was distracted by a 4-week-old kitten I found on my birthday outside my garage. Happy birthday, Robert, and happy belated birthday to you as well, by the way, back at you. Vladimir says, back for now. Rachel says, famous Amos did love boat once. I did not know that. Tug says, elocution. You got to make sure you have a ground wire. But John Doe said, did somebody say yogurt? Yes, blueberry cheesecake flavored yogurt. Denny says, I'm listening. And Tree says, hi, Angela Butterfly. Oh, Angela says, thank you. And Doug says, oh, we're digging the yogurt back up, eh? It's probably really ripe by now. I know, really. John Doe says, whose birthday? Well, so far we've covered mine, Robert Redford's, and Angelina, whose birthday was a few days ago, I believe. What did we say? But yes, those are three. Oh, also, keeping score at home, Dennis Leary, the comedian from Worcester, synchronicity here. He's actually from the same neighborhood we lived in when I was a kid. And he's actually August 18th, but exactly 10 years later, when he was having breakfast on his 10th birthday, I was being born. And of course, as you guys always know, my favorite author of all time, Brian Wilson Aldiss, OBE. He was also born on August 18th as well. And oh yeah, Gary Gabbard says to John Thrasher, yeah, me, and watching me happy belated birthday to Angela. And Ziplik says, how old is Robert Redford? That's a good question. I'd say he's got to be well into his 80s. He did that episode of Twilight Zone in 1962. So I'd say, let's pretend he was 22 when he did it. Let's say he was born in 1940. He'd be at least 84 years old. So I'm saying I'm gonna say 85 in the over. Texas, I love Dennis Leary. Isn't he great? He's amazing. Yeah. Burn Goat Street represent. Tracy says cheesecake makes my Jello look sad. Oh, you do Jello cheesecake. And Ziplik says Dennis Leary is a cousin of Conan O'Brien. Yes, he is. And John Doe says Robert Redford is dropping by. Wouldn't that be great if he did? We could do Barefoot in the Park. And he says, is yogurt the only food whose name describes the sound it makes when it comes back up? that was a Steve Martin bit, wasn't it? And then he says, the week we plan to premiere a new show, Pons gets a surprise birthday party while Sarah gets dental surgery and can't talk. And I fell and had surgery on my elbow. Again, second surgery Monday. Ooh. Yeah, I hope you feel better. Oh, hi, Mrs. Thrash. Mrs. Thrash is saying hello to everybody, by the way. They understand that you wanted to take me out for a birthday shindig. So yeah. Oh, Robert Redford is 88. Good. I took 85 in the over. Gary Gabriel says, John Doe, don't I wish? What do you mean says, Indy beat me to it, LOL. And James says, was just watching Redford in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. There you go. And he says, Robert Redford was so handsome. We all were. And someone says 88, that's really old. There's a lot older out there, trust me. And Angela says Redford is 88. Indy beat me to it. You guys are Johnny on the spot with the lookups. And he says, hey, K-Dub. And Gary says June Lockhart is 99. Eva Marie Saint is 100. Wowzers. And Tug says, you also share a birthday with the late, great Shelley Winters, apparently. She was cool. And John Doe says, or play a hand of Cool Hand Luke. Robert Redford was in Cool Hand Luke? It's a great movie. I just didn't think Robert Redford was in it. But why not? Everyone's saying hello to Mrs. Thrash. Julie Newmar is 91. JRA says there's a lot of celebrities approaching the century mark. Yes, Miss Moore from Mighty Joe Young. If you guys haven't seen Tug's Mighty Joe Young, please check it. It's really, really good. I never realized that she was ghost married to Howard Hughes because, of course, Fay Wray had an affair with him as well. That's weird. He must have had a fetish for girls with apes. And a lot of people saying hi, Mrs. Thrush. Gary says, I share my birthday with Nancy Kovac. Barbara Edith's 93. JRA says, a lot of Hitchcock's women are in their 90s. Novak Hedren says. Indeed. That's why I take Sanhedrin. And Zublik says 90s the new 80. And Daryl Jones says no. And John says joking. I figured you were, but playing along as best I can. And I was going through the entire movie. I thought he might have had a bit part in it or something, but glad you were joking. And Daryl says Paul Newman was. Yes, he was. And Tim says Cool Hand Luke starred Paul Newman, not Robert Redford. I have to clarify that. Oh, we all knew it starred Paul Newman. But of course, as we all can think of, Paul Newman and Robert Redford were in one particularly amazing movie together. Guess the movie in the comments below. How old is Gina Louise? That just came up, Tracy. She's in her 90s. I forget exactly, but she is in her 90s. I just saw her in an interview or something. Gary says, Hitch was a genius and a weirdo. Yes, Hitchcock, he certainly was. He certainly was. Emily's here, says, hi, y'all. Miss M, so glad you could make it. Thank you very much. Zubik says, I think Louise is 90. I think she's actually early 90s, but at least 90. And Indy says to Gary Carpenter, a common mix, I can confirm. And Justin says, Sting. Sting was in Cool Hand Luke. And Angela says Butch Cassidy of the Sundance Kid, Angelina for the win. Yes. And Tim says June Lockhart is 99 years old. Yes, and I still have the autograph she gave me when I was like 10. Gary Carpenter says Alain Delon is a guy. He certainly was. He was in Girl on the Motorcycle, and he was in some other cult film. I was just talking with Mrs. Thrash about that today, but yes, R.I.P. to Mr. Delon. And Denny says, all I remember about Cool Hand Luke is the guy from MASH was in it. Really Trapper. Yes, he was. Everyone was in that movie. Oh my God, Harry Dean Stanton is in that movie. Others. But yes, a lot of people were in that movie. Rachel says Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Yes, Rachel for the win as well. And John Doe says, I sent you a few videos about the American Museum of Natural History that should be entertaining. Looking forward. The last one you sent me, by the way, was really, really slick. I love the videos you've been sending me lately. Thanks, John. And Emily says, pretty sure all geniuses are weird. I think you're right. Em, speak of the devil. And Justin says, I thought you said which movie are Newman and Redford in. Yes, I did. Newman and Redford were in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So yes. And Tug says, but not all weird people are geniuses. Present company notwithstanding. Yes, it's like John Cleese with Logic. All of Elmer Cohen is dead, but only some of the class of the dead people are Elmer Cohen. Universal extremes are only partially reversible. And Daryl says, what we've got here is failure to communicate. Love that scene. And of course, not Dub Taylor. He was just in that movie I just saw. The Creature from Black Lake. That was a famous character actor, but he was also in Slapshot with Paul Newman. And Strother Martin, who was in, which I believe is the only major motion picture with one letter in the title. Letters in the title. So it says, we have a failure. Yes, we have a failure to communicate. Emily says, true, Tug. I'm weird, but not very bright. You are very intelligent, Emily. Do not sell yourself short. That's why I always wear heels, so I do not sell myself short. Mad. They called me mad, but I'll show them. I'll show them all. Sorry. I was gone for a moment, but I'm back. Yeah, and Gary says Strother Martin. Oh, George Kennedy was also in it, by the way. He played the sort of head inmate dude. And Tracy says, good one, Darrell. And Angelina says, I'm odd and weird, working on the smart part, lol. John Doe says, it's really coming down here. Hopefully it'll stop quickly. Usually when it really, really comes down in sheets, it's like a deluge, but it like stops. So wish you luck there, Johnny. Justin just says Dub Taylor was in Back to the Future 3. I vaguely remember that. Vaguely. Not just him, the whole movie. And Gary Carpenter says he was in Earthquake. And Emily says, John, we just had a nice little storm here. Yeah, I heard like 7 houses washed into the drink. And Tug says, I'm not sure what you mean. Your picture is so bright we can barely make it out. My picture is so bright I can barely really? Hmm. It does look a little washed out to me, but I the dimmer doesn't work on this lamp. Long story short, so it's like Blero, or you couldn't see me at all. Zubik says, "You know George won an Oscar for that role, Gary." Um, for in Cool Hand Luke, I believe it. I did not know that, but I believe it. George Kennedy was an amazing actor. Angela says, "Wasn't Dirt Benedict in that film?" Yes, he was in. Mrs. Thrash is laughing because she knows the movie, but you have to say. You liked that movie, didn't you? She says Dirt Benedict was hot. Yes, and Dirt Benedict. Well, he wasn't my type, but he was kind of cute. But yes, and the daughter was in something else too. The daughter, I can't think of her name to save my life, but she was in other stuff as well. And Mr. Lid says this property is condemned was the movie Gary. She was beautiful in that. I will have to check that out. And Indy says to Tug, I knew there was trouble when I started hanging out with some folks from the Sagamore Institute, and I was most normal. Sagamore, Massachusetts. I'm not familiar with the institute, but I know Sagamore. Let me know if it's Sagamore, Mass, please. And Emily says, Tug, that's the point. And Dominic says, I remember Strother Martin on an episode of Lost in Space. He did a lot of TV. He did a lot of TV. He actually he did an episode of Twilight Zone, which also has Lee Marvin and Lee Van Cleef, which is funny because they were the main bad guy Trumbert and the man who shot Liberty Valance. So there's a little trivia for you, lad. Gary says, I think I do. And Tracy says, I just wish that the temps in the 90s would go away. Yeah, me too. It's been not that bad, but hot in my appearance. But says, I always felt Cool Hand Luke was a ripoff of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Didn't Cool Hand Luke come out first? But I'm not trying. Not to be that guy. Emily says, Indy, I didn't know what Sagamore is, but I feel like I belong there. It's actually the part of Cape Cod where they build the canals. It's possible there's other Sagamores in this country too, I suppose. But Emily, you would love Sagamore. It's actually a beautiful strip of land. And Tug says, I was talking to M, not you, Thrash. Your picture is fine. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was worried because it didn't look washed out. And Gary says, Dom, he was in Rooster Cogburn, my favorite. And he goes on to say, message retracted. And a message retracted to you too. And Tree says, was so bad. It wasn't a particularly good movie, but a man turns into a snake. You know, you got to have fun with it. One of the guys in that movie also was one of the robots, Huey, Dewey, and Louie in Silent Running. And Mr. Lid says, hey there, Wedge, just hanging out, mostly listening tonight. Yes, but we're very happy to have you. We're very happy to have you. And music and fun, etc., is here, etc., etc. And says, good morning / evening, everyone. Great to see you. Music and fun, etc. Danny, please give music and fun a link. And John says, what would be the best movie from the 70s, 80s, and 90s? One from each decade. Off the top of my head, I'm not gonna the best movie. The best. So not necessarily my personal favorite, but the best movie. The best movie from the 70s would probably be Godfather 2. The best movie from the 80s would probably be I always had a thing for Platoon. I always loved Platoon. And the best movie of the 90s would have to be the Columbia TriStar Godzilla. Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, huh, gang? And Daryl Jones says Strother Martin was in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Yes, Strother Martin and Lee Van Cleef were Liberty Valance's henchmen. That's why it was kind of slick that they actually did an episode of Twilight Zone all together as well. And Emily Miller just jumped off the page. So I'm going to scoot back here. There it is. Tracy, we're supposed to be in the low 60s overnight here this week. And Rachel says, I'm ready for trivia. What's the theme today? Trivia is going to be on short-lived TV shows based on really, really cool movies, which we'll get to in just a minute. Jenny says, I keep expecting that phone on the shelf behind to ring. I would actually wet myself if it did that. And Zubik says, given the CHL came out 8 years earlier, I'm assuming that's a hockey joke. It would almost have to be. And Sean says, my brother was friendly with George down in Louisiana. Oh, that's very, very, very cool. Gary says, I finally saw it for the first time. And Angela says, oh, yes, I agree. Dirk was and is still handsome. I need to watch. And Daryl says, did you like it, Gary? And Angela says, it's 75 here right now in Ashland, Maine. I think it's like 72 here on Cape Cod. It's just the humidity is really oppressive. And Zublik says, the novel came out first. Okay, Zublik, that makes perfect sense. The novel came out first. Okay, I'll give it to you. Because there are certainly a lot of similarities. And Danny says, so you know Star Trek, Pawns. I will do Star Trek, but I promise Superplex, because I was a week behind, I promised him I would do movies, TV shows based on movies. And he says the Sagamore Institute is a think tank in Indianapolis. Yeah, I didn't think it was here in Massachusetts. I would have heard of it, but thank you. The only think tank we have here is my septic tank, which I keep thinking was way more money than it should have been. And James Dice said, scared me when I was a kid. One of my earliest memories, and like my parents were still married. This had to have been 72, 71. I was watching a film review show, and they were talking about 2 movies. They were talking about, and it's the scene where the snake gets shot and the girl starts crying. And Play Misty for Me, where he drags her out of the restaurant, sticks her in a cab, and she's like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I was like 4 or 5. I'm like, these movies are really scary. I don't want to see them. I want to see Pinocchio. These movies are scaring me. And like literally, this is one of my earliest memories. And James says, Justin says, what is the trivia? TV shows based on movies, short-lived ones. And Jenny says, well, it never happened. And remember when Kirk says, beam me up, Scotty? I should read those in the proper order. Emily says, thank you, Indy. It actually sounds like a fun place to hang out. Angela says, I finally got the book, Damnation Alley. Wow, talk about different from the... I know. It's like demonstratively different. I'm gonna try to catch up here. Oh yeah, here we are. Harold says, Danny, so true for so many things. Love how we remember things that never happened. The Mandela effects, Danny, yes, definitely. And Rachel says, best movie from the 1970s, Can't Stop the Music. And James Dice says, Danny Kirk said just about every combination but that one. Justin says, Godfather 2 is really good, but it's overkill with the flashbacks. I know. In the Godfather saga, they re-edit it so that it's actually in chronological order, and it's so much more coherent. And Gary hasn't seen the movie yet. You got to check it out. And Tim says, guess this acclaimed 2000s HBO series story of a crime, power, corruption in Baltimore told through the perspectives of cops, politicians, criminals, journalists, lawyers, and the city's residents. I didn't have HBO, but I'm going to say Empire. Emily says, well, that's disappointing. Thank you for the link, Danny. I'm skimming down. WT says, I'd say Diner or Rain Man for the best movies of the 80s. Rain Man was good. I don't know if I'd go with the best. Diner was very good, but I just, like I said, I always had a thing for Platoon. I thought it just struck a chord with me. John Doe says Misfits of Science and Blue Thunder. Danny's giving us another link. There we go. Chance is here. Says, hey, all. Hello. Chance, so glad you could make it, my brother. Good to see you. Gary Cameron says, oh, and Danny, please, a link for Chance. Gary Cameron says, John Doe, that was a great show, but Dean Paul Martin died in a plane crash. Oh. Danny's giving us a link. Awesome. Everybody saying hi to Pod Blast. Rachel says, it has been 100 plus here in Boise. John Doe says, fast times. Chen says, hello to everyone. Dominic D says, put a tiger in your tank. Ah, yes, Exxon. And John says, or Bill and Ted's excellent TV shows. Luke says, it always costs more than we believe it should. Doesn't it always? Doesn't it always? And Emily says, Rachel, I don't think we hit 100 more than a couple times this year. Zulu says, does the septic tank leak? No, the new one is fine. The last one was corrupted, but the new one is fine. Thank God. I paid enough. It should. Gary says, it's strange that when a movie star passes, they put their movies on YouTube. Huh. And Tug says, I also loved it when Humphrey said, play it again, Sam. He says, play it, as you say. And Chin says, I want Hollywood Squares NBC episodes to serve for the Peter Marshall hosting. That would be phenomenal. That would be awesome. R.I.P. Mr. Marshall. And Gary Cameron says, Betty White never did meet Robert Redford. Ziplik says, Hollywood Squares must be somewhere on streaming. Emily says, let's not forget Luke, I am your father. Gary says, Pod Blast, I just finished watching Annie. More of a light quiz. And Indy says, came out in 1973. Play Misty for Me came out in 71. What, that a preview show from a second run drive-in by chance? No, I'm using the wrong nomenclature. It was a morning talk show, and they were talking about films, not necessarily at the movies, but they were talking about movies. And I don't know what the connection was, but they're showing those two clips, and they scared me. So I'm going to say it had to have been 73, wouldn't it have been? But I digress. And maybe it's the Mandela effect. And Teb says, no, Thrash, it was The Wire. Oh, okay, well, I can't win them all. And John says, what was the last video I sent you? Was Bon Scott or not? I remember watching the videos. I'll be honest, John. I don't always remember them in the order. It may have been Bon Scott. And Emily Miller says, well, it's after 8. It sure is. And Zubik says, Taxi Driver for the 70s. And Pixote from the 80s. All right, I'll give you Taxi Driver. I never saw Pixote. And Shin says, not seen since the 1900s on Game Show Network. Hollywood Square was shelved since then, specifically Peter Marshall, NBC era. And Tug says, The Ice Pirates is clearly the greatest film of the 1980s. There can be no doubt. I actually liked The Ice Pirates. Thank you for the link, Dan. Gary says, Terry Moore had an affair with Howard Hughes. So did Fay Ray. And Rachel says, 16 Candles, best movie of the 80s. And James Guy says, best movie of the 1980s is Empire Strikes Back. I'm just going to skim down. Best movie of the 70s, Jaws. Best movie of the 80s, Return of the Jedi. Best movie of the 90s, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Judgment Day is a great movie, you're right. Chances from Betamax tape. And it's not Emily Should Be, though. Katharine Hepburn wasn't invited to San Simeon. Gary Carpenter, thank you. Luke says Hollywood Squares was one of the most popular daytime game show of the 70s. That surprises me. I loved it. And Emily says, well, dang, it would make sense, Chance. And Angela says, best movie from the 80s is, in my opinion, is Ghostbusters. I know there were often others, but my brain is running in a sort of short burst right now. And Chan says, "Oh, I thought we were talking about the movie. You're talking about dollar signs." And so because Sonia love for Titanic in the '90s, it had its merits. And he says, "Best movie of the '80s, Raiders of the Lost Ark." Maybe, that's a good one. That's a good one. And Chan says, "How are you?" to Tug. And John says, "What does Conan the Barbarian and Terminator '84 had 18 lines in each movie? Really?" WD says, "Rosemary to Block." Okay, I'm gonna stop it there because I've finally caught up, and it's 8:06, and I want to do the trivia because I have some follow up questions from the trivia. So I'm gonna start the trivia, and again, this is on short lived, very short lived TV shows that are based on really good hit movies. And as always, I shall give them to you in no particular order. Number 10. This Tom Hanks film had a very short lived adaptation which did not feature Tom Hanks. Was it A, Nothing in Common, B, Splash, C, The Burbs, or D, Bachelor Party? Oh, hey, Lance is here. He says, "Hey, gang. Lance, very glad you could make it." Oh, and Led says, a Tug serious question: did Jimmy Cagney actually say, "You dirty rat, you killed my brother"? I don't believe he did. But moving on, I shall repeat the question. This Tom Hanks flick had a very short lived adaptation which did not feature Tom Hanks. A, Nothing in Common, B, Splash, C, The Burbs, or D, Bachelor Party. Oh, Chin's right. Yeah, Chin's. That was Jackie Gleason's final film. Nothing in Common. Well, the answers are kind of all over the place, which is good. It's fun when everyone knows it, but when the answers kind of get mixed up. Oh, Harold says since mine guess wasn't listed, I'll go with Splash, but we all know it should have been Philadelphia. um, the correct answer is A. Nothing in Common. Yeah, it had a short lived, which is ironic because in Tom Hanks's big breakthrough TV show Bosom Buddies, they owned an ad agency, and Nothing in Common is about a guy who owns an ad agency. But yeah, and I found this, and I was actually talking with one of my coworkers who's really big in the entertainment industry, and he couldn't agree with more. It seems the number one reason a lot of these TV adaptations don't last is because people fall in love with the stars of the film. And when they're recast of the people are like, no thanks. Anyway, number 9. Only the teachers reprised their roles on this short lived academic based TV series. Was it A, Animal House, B, Square Pegs, C, Ferris Bueller, or D, Fast Times? I shall repeat. Only the teachers reprised their roles on this short lived academic based TV series. Was it A, Animal House, B, Square Pegs, C, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or D, Fast Times? Class of '84 agrees too. uh, Oh, I fell down and gashed my forehead open and bruised my hand. Oh, I'm so sorry, man. Hope you feel better, bro. Again, the answers are all over the place. I'll give another second here. Oh, just checking in. See you all soon. Hey, Lance, thank you for stopping by. Hope you feel better, my brother. The correct answer was actually Fast Times. Mr. Hand, played by oh, the guy who played Mr. Hand, the guy from My Favorite Martian, Ray Walston, and Vincent Schiavelli, who played the science teacher. They were the only ones from the feature film who came back for the TV show. D, The Crawling Eye. Yeah, Ray Walston, thank you. Dominic D. Number 8. Which of these vintage sci-fi films did not have its own animated TV show? A, The First Man on the Moon. B, King Kong. C, The Fantastic Voyage. Or D, Journey to the Center of the Earth. I shall repeat. Which of these vintage sci-fi films did not have its own animated TV show? A, First Man on the Moon. B, King Kong. C, The Fantastic Voyage. Or D, join me, Pat Boone, and Gertrude the Duck as we journey to the center of the earth. Gary says, Pod Blast, I love the movie Ray. I'm a big fan of his. My mother saw him live when she was in high school. Tremors. Barbarella. A Barbarella TV show? I'd have watched that as a kid. Grape Fago, in case people were interested. Rachel says, Walls and Gromit go to the moon. I think I have that. Was that a thing? And Pablo says, cool. To the movie Ray. The correct answer was, in fact, The First Man on the Moon. King Kong actually did have its own animated show, as did Fantastic Voyage and Journey to the Center of the Earth. They had very, very little to do with the movies, but they were close enough. Number 7. This character was the single film to TV crossover in the Planet of the Apes franchise. Was it A, Uriko, B, Dr. Zaius, C, Cornelius, or D, Bonzo? I shall repeat. This character was the single film to TV crossover in the Planet of the Apes franchise. Was it A, Uriko, B, Dr. Zaius, C, Cornelius, or D, Bonzo? And I'm going to tell you, I remember Dave had me on ages ago, and we were talking about the Planet of the Apes TV series, and you guys actually hoisted yourself on the same petard I did. I got this question wrong, too. It was actually, and it's funny, too, because I had recently watched it, but for some reason I thought it was a trick question or something. The correct answer was Dr. Zaius. Yes, Roddy McDowell was in the TV show, but he played a character named Galen, not Cornelius. And we'll do number 6, and then we'll get scores. In addition to his work on bafflingly inconsistent, but far better than the film sequel, Highlander series, Adrian Paul featured on this marginally related to the source material TV adaptation. Was it A, War of the Worlds, B, Fargo, C, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, or D, The Young Indiana Jones? I shall repeat. In addition to his work on the bafflingly inconsistent, but still far better than the film sequel, show Highlander, the series, Adrian Paul featured on this marginally related to the source material TV adaptation. Was it A, War of the Worlds, B, Fargo, C, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, or D, The Young Indiana Jones? Sean's like, ooh. Daryl says, Cadney did say dirty yellow-bellied rat, but the misquote is always, you're the rat that killed my brother. Remember, one of the funniest things they ever did on the Monkees was there was a local talent show, and the Monkees were crashing it, And Mickey, his shtick was he was doing impressions, and he did Edward G. Robinson, James Cagney, and and Humphrey Bogart, and they all said the same thing. They just wore different hats, and they all said, "You're the rat that killed my brother." Uh, John Doe says, "I want to see the original Sarah Connor Chronicles with Linda Hamilton. That'd be cool." But the correct answer in this case was War of the Worlds. He was in the second series of the short-lived series War of the Worlds. So that. And let's get some scores. Oh, Angela, you crashing? Angela, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great one. Got a jet, yes. Thank you. And Lisa Fields is here. Says, hi, Thrash. Hi, everybody. So glad you could make it. So, yes, let me get War of the Worlds. Oh, and here are the scores. So, Blex is 2 out of 5. Harold is 3 out of 5. James said, okay, I got 2 right so far. Emily says, what did that have to do with Highlander? Oh, well, because Highlander is a TV show based on a movie, and it wasn't very good, but it was a TV show based on a movie. So, in addition to Highlander, he was also in another TV show based on a movie. But so just in case people remember from one, he's also from the other one as well. And Dominic D says, yeah, I was young when the Planet of the Apes show was on. I missed it. Wajimeen says, I was lucky. I was able to watch it. Wajimeen is 2 out of 5. Music and fun got 2 correct. Tug says, Lena Headley is awesome, though. She makes an awesome Sarah Connor. Yes, and Summer Glau is, oh, I'm a dirty old man. Emily is 1 of 5. A lot of people singing out to Angela. Tug is 1 out of 5. Ouch. WD is 3 out of 5. Tracy is 3 out of 5. Teb is 3 out of 5. Gary Carpenter is 3 out of 5. Gary Carpenter is also 3 out of 5. You're having that phone trouble again, aren't you, dude? And he says to Tug, she makes it even better, Mama from Dread. Gary, guess away. And Tug says agreed on that. Indy. Harold says, I loved the Highlander series. Yes, but you know what? It was a great series. It was very well written. I loved the guest stars every week. Chemistry was great. The thing about it is if you pay close attention, like I have no choice but to do, he's in different places at the same time. He's at the German summer. He's at the German Spring Offensive in 1917, and he's also at the uprising of the social revolutionaries in Moscow in 1917. He couldn't be at 2 places at the same time. He's a Highlander. He's not something that can be in 2 places at the same time. So as I was watching the show, stuff like that started to like add up and bug me. That's actually another problem. Is that unless you have one guy who writes all the episodes, and most shows don't, that's a tremendous strain on a writer. Unless they sit down and watch every other episode they haven't written, sometimes they miss little tiny factoids. And in doing so, spoil canon. There's an episode of MASH where Radar's father dies before he was born. Others say he died when he was very young. And John Doe says Linda Hamilton did the Sarah Connor Chronicles, the pilot that was never aired, though NBC said no. Oh, I did not know that. Keith E said 0 out of 5. Not even able to guess. Keith, I'm sorry. I more than understand. But anyway, he was also hot. Yes, and yeah, Mrs. Thrash thought he was hot too. Anyway, moving forward to number 5. This classic comedy flick featuring the collaborations of comic icons Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder was given its own short-lived TV adaptation. And I think part of the problem is a lot of these adaptations were so short-lived, nobody got a chance to see them, let alone remember them. So, but we'll talk more about that after the quiz. But anyway, the options are A, Blazing Saddles, B, Bustin' Loose, C, Stir Crazy, or D, Silver Streak. I shall repeat. This classic comedy flick featuring the collaboration of comic icons Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder was given its own short-lived TV adaptation. A, Blazing Saddles, B, Bustin' Loose, C, Stir Crazy, or D, Silver Streak. Another part of the problem is like for example, Highlander loaned itself to a series because anybody who lives for hundreds of years can have its lots and lots and lots of adventures, and you can set them in different time periods or set them in present day and have flashbacks to when the initial event took place. I mean, you could just do anything you want with it, but you have to be really, really, really careful to be consistent. Rachel says these movies were so good, and a lot of you got this one right out the gate. Uh, what was the short-lived spinoff of Welcome Back, Cotter? Ooh, good question. I don't recall. But yes, Stir Crazy was the answer to that one. Number four. This Jim Henson masterpiece had a less than masterpiece reboot series in recent years. Was it A. Labyrinth, B. Dark Crystal, C. Legend, or D. Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas? I shall repeat. This Jim Henson masterpiece had a less than masterpiece reboot series in recent years. Was it A. Labyrinth, B. Dark Crystal, C. Legend, or D. Emmett Otter's Junk Band Christmas? Christopher said, "Did you ever watch the Sarah Jane Chronicles, Bob?" Sarah Connor. I don't remember the Sarah Jane, so I'm gonna have to say no. And Rachel says, "Emmett Otter is my favorite movie." Oh, I know some people are actually picking D. That's the spirit. Yeah, the correct answer is in fact Dark Crystal. I tried to watch the reboot series, and it wasn't without its merit, but it was almost like it was trying too hard to be like Game of Thrones. Like they were trying to put too much like backstory and politics and world building, and we've talked about that. When you world build too much, you lose your audience because if there's not enough action, the world ceases being interesting. And also, I think so. It wasn't that it was too far fetched. Some of the things just again were inconsistent, but it was a great attempt. I mean, they put a lot of money and time and work into it. It just didn't grab me. And he says, "I know it's Dark Crystal, but since you called it a masterpiece film, I know that can't be right." What's wrong with Dark Crystal? The movie is amazing. Do you know? Do you know the movie is the only, this is the Guinness Book of World Records, the only feature length film to have no reference of Earth or human beings. Some movies have humans but no reference to Earth, like Star Wars. Others have Earth but no humans, like The Lion King. The only completely alien movie ever made is Dark Crystal. And I'm sorry, I think it's a great film. But again, opinions can vary. And he says, "I can't believe I haven't heard of most of these shows." Well, again, when I say short lived, I mean some of them, didn't even make it through a full season. Oh, but this one was highly successful. Number three. This film holds the record for the most number of TV adaptations with four. Was it A, Westworld, B, Friday the 13th, C, Highlander, or D, The Odd Couple? I shall repeat. This film holds the record for the most number of TV adaptations with four. A, Westworld, B, Friday the 13th, C, Highlander, or D, The Odd Couple. And nailed it. Here's one. While we're on the subject, a lot of people remember the more recent Westworld. Does anybody remember? There was a very short-lived um, TV show of Westworld back in the late '70s. Anybody remember that one? They were using robots to replace people. It was a sort of like Cold War political thriller TV series. But Justin says a lot of shows that were successful were basically the Odd Couple with different name. Yes, in fact, of the four, there was the Odd Couple, the New Odd Couple, the Odd Couple 2015. But I also included the Oddball Couple, the cartoon series. But yeah, a lot of TV shows. You're absolutely right. Were just a retooled of the Odd Couple, like Hell in the Pacific and Enemy Mine. Hmm. Number two, many TV adaptations choose to add superfluous supplemental characters not present in the source material. Don Moffat, a sci fi perennial, played an unnecessary cybernetic character in Logan's Run. Was he called A, Box, B, Peace, C, Rem, or D, 7 Zark 7? Texas, the fugitive is just the odd couple. And then he says, "You're thinking of Beyond Westworld from 1980, Bob." I must be. I must be. So, yes. So, at least one I want to be remembered. I shall repeat. Many TV adaptations choose to add superfluous supplemental characters not present in the source material. Don Moffat, a sci fi perennial, played an unnecessary cybernetic character in Logan's Run. Was that character A, Box, B, Peace, C, Rem, or D, 7 Zark 7? Every show with Ann in the title, huh? And John says Ewell died shortly after filming Westworld. He did, of complications from smoking. Emily says C, maybe. A lot of people are picking A, and I understand because Box was, of course, the character from the movie, voiced by Roscoe Lee Brown. Yeah, let's go with that. But no, in fact, was Rem. And what they did was, he wasn't like a robot, which like needed like a robot costume. He was an android, so you didn't even have to like, have special makeup or anything for him, which is brilliant. But the character just didn't work, and it's a pity because I thought Moffat was cool. He's great in a thing. Oh, and number one. And speaking of completely superfluous characters, The Outsiders added for completely unclear reasons this female greaser character to the cast. Was it A, Rumor, B, Scout, C, Tallulah, or D, Gem? I shall repeat. And speaking of completely superfluous characters, The Outsiders added for supposedly completely for purposes, I'll come in again, for purposes completely unclear, this female greaser character to the cast. Was it A, Rumor, B, Scout, C, Tallulah, or D, Gem? It shows how many people watch the Outsiders TV show. Why do they all sound like horses? Well, three of them are actually Bruce Willis's children, and two of them are characters from To Kill a Mockingbird. I'll let you guys sort that out. Scrappy Doo. Ooh, a lot of people picking Gem because Gem is truly outrageous. And John says Pat Morita was the star of Mr. T and Tina, the spinoff of Welcome Back, Kotter. Oh, okay. You know, I never saw that, but thank you. Oh, JT Chronicles. Oh my god. Oh my god, JT. Oh my god, how you doing, bro? How's the missus? So great to see you. Where you been? I haven't seen you at the restaurant in like a couple of months. Wait, I know you're really, really, really busy. Everybody say hi to JT. Dan, if you could please give a link to JT's channel. JT is a local hero here on Cape Cod, by the way. He does everything and he helps everyone. He's the best. But anyway, in answer to the question, it actually was Scout. It was Scout. Scout and Jeb are actually from To Kill Mockingbird, and Rumor, Scout, Tallulah are Bruce Willis's children. Before we do final score, I have a bonus. And no one will have seen this, and I can almost guarantee no one will have read it. But if you've been paying attention to me, I'm sure you've heard of this. So anyway, the bonus is this: this highly inappropriate Harlan Ellison, magnum opus, actually had a teleplay for a pilot written for a TV pitch? Was it A, Logan's Run, B, A Boy and His Dog, C, The Fantastic Journey, or D, The Dylan Hunt Saga? I shall repeat. This highly inappropriate Harlan Ellison magnum opus actually had a teleplay for a pilot written for a TV pitch. Was it A, Logan's Run, B, A Boy and His Dog, C, The Fantastic Journey, or D, The Dylan Hunt Saga? Ugh. John says, that's not too awful. I went to one and there was a guy from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and he wanted $50. Wow, $50, I'm guessing, for an autograph. John does says Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, the neighborhood that Welcome Back Kotter was based in. And Gary says to JRA, I met Thelma Lou from the Andy Griffith Show, and she didn't charge for hers. I heard June Lockhart charges for autographs now. When I saw her in the Hyannis Airport, she didn't charge me, but of course I was 10, and that was many years ago. And it looks like everyone got this. Yes, it was B, A Boy and His Dog. I actually have the teleplay, and it's not very good. And it's not very good in the sense that Harlan Ellison wasn't trying when he wrote it. You could tell he was writing it for a TV audience. You could tell he wasn't trying. He didn't use big words. The plot was fairly contrived. He was writing it to what he envisioned TV audiences were like and what they wanted in the 70s. And if you've read the Glass Teat, you'll know exactly whereof I speak. So, Tug says Tom Clancy wanted $100 after a lecture I attended. I didn't bite, and I hated the lecture. Made me respect him a lot less. Justin says Tony Danza played the same character in all of his sitcom. No, I did not know that. And Rachel says, darn, I was going to say, but I doubted myself. Really, no kidding. So now we can get some scores, and of course, be sure to add in the bonus. And you know what? Don't do like 10 of 11. Keep it at 10. The bonus is just sort of a leg up. So we're still at 10 questions. Emily says both of them, JRA. Tracy got 3 out of 10. Harold got 8 out of 10. Tug got 4 out of 10 with the bonus. Not your night, Tug. Sorry. Christopher says Sarah Jane Chronicles was Doctor Who spinoff. Oh, yes. I know I never get a chance to watch it, but now I know what you're talking about. Thank you. Keith says 57 out of 57 are the numbers I'm going with. Very good. Thank you. Wajimeen is 8 for 10. Gary said, all I did was buy her picture, and she gave me a signature. Oh, that's nice. Rachel is 7 for 10. James Dye says, I got 3 right. That's excellent. Jerry says he had 3 sitcoms, I think, Emily. So Harold says, good. He did it. Yeah, so far you're ahead with the most right. Tracy is 4 for 10 with bonus. Gary Carver says B. Doug says I still had a lot of fun. I don't care about the score. That's the way to play it. And Justin says Taxi, Who's the Boss, and One-Ins in the 90s. Danny says Torchwood was a better spinoff. And Dummy says I think he played the same character in the Cannonball Run movies as well. And Teb is 6 for 10. And Emily says a Taxi, Boss, and what else? One-Ins. And Justin says he was a wisecracking New Yorker. Dummett D is 7 of 10. And Gary Carpenter says Lucille Ball had a different sitcom. And the last one was a dud. Yes, she did play different characters, didn't she? And music is 3 out of 10. That seems to be the number tonight. 3 out of 10 is the number tonight. James Dice says Torchwood was great. And Tug says Danza worked pretty well in the HBO remake of 12 Angry Men. He was still playing Tony Danza, though. Oh, Jake Hudson here says liked and shared. Thank you for the like. Thank you for the share. And Danny, please give us a link to Jake Hudson as well. Thank you, Big Jake. Good to have you with us tonight. Now, since we have a few more minutes, question. And again, probably the reason people aren't familiar with these shows is they didn't last very long because most of them weren't very good. What movie did you love either as a kid or recently? What movie do you think would make a good uh, TV series? And again, it has to be something where it can't just be the same story over and over and over again. Grease 2, I think, could have worked because it would have been sort of like a nostalgia show, sort of like Happy Days. So the whole Grease franchise might have worked. But if anyone has any movies they thought would have made a good TV show, please let us know. Um, I thought the Puppet Masters was a terrible movie, but I thought the Puppet Masters would make a good series. You could do well, just like the X Files, where every week you have the agents trying to find a new horde of aliens, sort of like the whole Invaders series. Oh, Ken Wilkins says Mamma Mia. I can see that happening. Watching Bean says Short Circuit. Scott says I would have loved the Goonies, but I don't think it would have worked on TV. Well, they would have had to have a new adventure every week. John Doe says New York State Golden Glove champion Tony used that to get into acting. So he really was a Golden Glove. And Rachel says, I thought Working Girl was going to be on the trivia tonight. I didn't use that one. I specifically used shows I was familiar with, and I never watched Working Girl, so I didn't think it was fair to use that one. Zuplik says The Road Warrior. Zuplik, I can't agree with you more. I think pretty much every every post-apocalyptic movie would make a great TV show because all we see in the movie is one part of the world. The entire world has been destroyed. So the main character, like the fugitive, can go from place to place to place and find different areas and how they're coping with the world as it is. That's Thunder the Barbarian. That's what they did. Emily says it's newer, but I really think Harry Potter would make a good series. It could work. It could work. James Dye says Priest with Paul Bettany would make a good movie series. Not familiar with it, but I'll take your word for it. Justin says Stand and Deliver. All the kids had home stories, plus the teacher stories. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Harold says the Road War would have been amazing. Definitely. It's basically a boy and his dog. It's a man and his dingo. I'm sorry, Australian cattle dog. WD says, anybody remember the Serpico TV series with David Briney? Never saw it. I noticed it in my research, but I never saw it. Zuplik says villains galore. Music says they did do a pilot to Beverly Hills Cop, which was to focus on his son. There's a bell ringing in my head, but it's probably with the tinnitus. I had heard that, but I had never actually seen it. Ellen Miller says 13 Ghosts would be a good series, have a backstory for each ghost. That's actually based on a movie with Martin Miller from the early 60s with almost comical special effects. But I see where you're going. Sort of like a Friday the 13th, but where instead of a cursed object, it's a ghost, yeah. Gary Carver says Buddy Ebsen had 4 great shows: Hillbillies, Barnaby Jones, Matt Houston, and I don't know what the last one was. I can't recall that one either. Indy says Aftermath of Independence Day could have provided a few years of programming. Yes, certainly better than that sequel. Certainly better than the sequel, but yes. Enzublik says, yes, I do, Dominic D. And Tug says 13 Ghosts is a great choice. Harold the Hatter said Priest would be good. Says thank you to Tug. Gary says a Batman had lots of super villains, certainly. JT Chronicle said Stand By Me. Definitely. Just to see how things play out with the older boys and whatnot. Because in the book, it gets pretty dark. But yeah, JT, that's a great one. This week, I'm not gonna. I got. You're probably sick of hearing me apologize, but it's been a crazy summer. That's why I haven't been able to get in touch with you myself. Actually, this week I'm gonna try to give you a jingle. Hopefully we can do some type of collaboration. But I will, at very least, I'll send you a message at some point this week, JT. Thank you. And say hi to your mom for me. John Doe says RoboCop the series was a drama, but it was just too jokey. And Harold says The Exorcist, but as a traveling demonologist a la the Hulk would have been good. Yeah. Yeah. Where he's the main character. That's the framing device. He goes from town to town trying to expel demons. And you could give him some recurring villain, a Satanist, loosely resembling Anton LaVey. That could work. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. And Gary Cameron says, too bad that the Flying Nun, Adam's Family, and the Monsters were short lived. And Gilligan's Island, yes. And Zibble says, but they were colorful villains, Gary. And Tug says, Tomb Raider would be better as a series than as movies. Isn't that? I thought Relic Hunter with Tia Carrera is because they couldn't get the rights to Tomb Raider. So they made Relic Hunter. Judges, thank you for the link, Danny. Gary says, or a cartoon series. JT says, do it, brother. I will. Some point this week. I'll give you a shout out, I promise. And Tug says, sounds like Constantine. Yeah, it does now that you mention it. But of course, you couldn't really have the devil, um, but a demonic figure, perhaps. And James A says, I would say John Wick as a series, but he died in number 4. Good point. And Gary says Splash was a pretty fair movie. Splash could work, but the problem with Splash is that and this is actually another thing. When they would retool these movies for TV shows, they would often change the canon of the story, in some cases quite dramatically. In Splash, he goes off to what I'm assuming is Atlantis to live with the mermaid people, and he knows he can't go back. The only way Splash would work is if he could go back and forth. So they'd have to alter that very important plot device. Tracy says, Nighters, guys. Now, actually, you know what? I'm looking at the time. We should probably start wrapping things up, by the way. But this has been a great conversation, folks. I'm just going to read through these comments here. The type that would surf with swimming suits and fully clothed at the same time. And Indy says they're trying to try that with Brimstone. Dominique says, I like the movie Splash. Tug says, I love Constantine the series. I like the movie too, but the series is more comic accurate. He says, they did that with My Living Doll. And Danny says, I think a remake of the old Invaders TV series would work well. I've always thought it would. I've always thought you could have a great. In fact, when they revamped V was more like the Invaders because, again, it was like an underground consortium of the of Invaders this time. And Harold says, "I'll check that out to Tug." And Indy says, "Thank you for the trivia and thank you for playing." James says, "They did an updated Splash. It's called Aquaman. I love it." And Gary says, "Z, I've never seen it though. It's got Julie Newmar on there. It was on before my time. A lot of the great shows were, but I watch them in reruns." And Wajimine says Child's Play. So anyway, again, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. I had so much fun. Thank you, everyone for the birthday wishes. It really means a lot. Thank you for joining in. I have notes on what I have, like a litany of trivias for the next few weeks. So whatever the next one in the rotation is going to be the trivia for next week. So right now it's a surprise. Thank you everyone again for the happy birthdays, guys. I want to just thank you for joining me. I mean, I have so much fun doing these. You guys apparently have fun playing along, joining in. That's great. To the people we haven't seen in a while who came back tonight, James specifically, to Mr. Led. Again, we don't see you as much as we like to. Others, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you who do join us every single week, thank you for your continued patronage. Anyway, have yourself a great week, guys. And until next week, be good, be safe, be careful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.